Alright guys, what is going on, and welcome back to the Bit of Footy YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be running through my round 13 tips for the 2025 AFL Premiership season. Now before we do that, let's take a look and see how I did back in round number 12. Alright, as you can see on the screen right here, in round number 12, I did so bad. I got 3 out of 7 tips correct. Now in the first game, I didn't actually tip, and I would have tipped Brisbane, so I could have got 4 out of 7, but I didn't tip. Other than that, the tips that I got incorrect were the Suns tip, the Swans tip, the D's tip, and yeah, that was pretty much it because the first game I didn't tip. That currently has me in 22nd spot in my own tipping comp, and I'm on a total score of 64 points. In first spot, again, we've got Mr. Ray White, who got 5 out of 7 tips correct last round, and is on a total score of 77 points. But yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's take a look and see what my tips are for round number 13 of the 2025 AFL Premiership season. Alright, we kick off round number 13 with the game between the Western Bulldogs and Hawthorn tonight at Marvel Stadium. The Western Bulldogs, well, they're coming off a bye, and the Hawks, they're coming off a 51-point loss to the hands of my Pies. I do actually feel like this will be a decent game, but the fact is Hawthorn have a few good players missing in Sicily and Watson. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Hawthorn go without those two players in their side. I think it's going to be tough for Hawthorn. They're not in great form at the moment, and they're facing a Dogs side who are coming off a bye. They're feeling fresh, ready to go for this game. So yeah, I'm going to be tipping the Dogs in this game, and I feel like the Dogs could get it done by a comfortable margin. So I'm going to go the Dogs by a margin of 33 points over the Hawks in this one. Then we move on to the Friday night game at the Adelaide Oval between the Crows and Brisbane. This should be a ripper. If we're going off the game last year where it was a draw at the Adelaide Oval, this should be a ripper of a game. The Crows, they're coming off a fantastic 90-point win over the Swans, and the Lions are coming off an 18-point win over the Bombers. I feel like this should be a decent game. I feel like it should be, but it is at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows, they're coming off a 90-point win over the Swans. They're going to be feeling really confident coming into this game, so I feel like they can get the job done in this one. I do feel like it's going to be a little bit closer than the margin was when they faced the Swans last round, so I'm going to be tipping the Crows in this one by a margin of 8 points over the Lions. Alright, then we move on to the Saturday games. We kick it off at the MCG where the Tigers are facing the Swans. Who knows what could happen in this game? The Tigers are coming off a devastating 3-point loss to the hands of the Giants, and the Swans, they're coming off a 90-point loss to the hands of the Crows. So the Swans are coming into this game off the back of a big margin loss, so it could be an interesting one, this one. I do feel like it could be a weird and wacky game where the Tigers really take it up to the Swans, because the Swans, they're not in, a great deal of form at the moment, but I still feel like the Swans should be getting the win here, so I'm going to back them in. I'm going to be tipping the Swans only by a margin of 23 over the Tigers. Then we move on to the game down the highway at the Cattery. We've got the Cats taking on the Suns at GMHBA Stadium. The Cats, they're coming off a 43-point win over the Eagles. The Suns are coming off an 11-point loss to the hands of the Dockers. How about the Dockers at the moment? They're in some really good form as we speak. Yeah, should be a decent game, this one. The Suns are playing some decent footy this year, so are the Cats. Could this be a game where the Suns win at the Cattery? I don't know. I don't feel like it's going to happen. I feel like we're in that moment now where the Suns are playing a little bit, where they're in a little bit of a speed bump at the moment in their season. So I feel like the Cats are going to get the win here at the Cattery. I do feel like it'll be a decent contested game of footy though, so I'm going to be backing in the Cats by a margin of 16 points over the Suns. And the last game on the Saturday is the Giants taking on Port Adelaide at Manuka Oval. The Giants are coming off that 3-point win over the Tigers and the Power. They're coming off a bye. So yeah, should be a decent game, this one, but I feel like the Giants will be able to get this one done. I feel like Port Adelaide, whenever they play away, it's a tough watch. It's a tough watch, and I don't know how this game's going to go, because, the Giants, they're not playing their best footy at the moment, but they should be able to win over Port Adelaide at Manuka Oval. So I'm going to be backing in the Giants here by a margin of 32 points over the Power. All right, and then we move on to the Sunday games. We've got the 2 Sunday games this round, and we kick it off at 3:20 p.m. at Hands Oval out in, Bunbury in Western Australia. It's North Melbourne taking on the West Coast Eagles. It's actually North Melbourne's home game in Western Australia as well. So yeah, who knows how this game will go. North Melbourne, they're coming off a bye. The Eagles are coming off a 43-point loss to the hands of the Cats. I feel like North Melbourne will win this game, but I do feel like it'll be a close game. Sort of like the game where North Melbourne played Richmond at the MCG. That was close. North Melbourne won by a margin of 4 points. I feel like this is going to be a close one as well. I think North Melbourne will just get the job done because they have been, the better team, in my opinion, than the Eagles have this season. But yeah, I feel like North Melbourne get the job done in this one by a margin of 5 points only over the Eagles. Then we move on to the King's Birthday Eve game where Carlton are taking on Essendon at the MCG. Carlton are coming off a bye. Essendon are coming off an 18-point loss to the hands of the Lions. Essendon were very competitive in that game against the Lions. It didn't start off that way, but Essendon gradually brought themselves back into that game. Maybe could have won, but the Lions got the win in the end by a margin of 18. The Blues, they're coming into this one off a bye. I do think it will be a decent game of footy, this one. Both of these teams are playing sort of 50-50 footy at this stage of the season, so I could see it being a decent game, but I feel like in the end the Blues will get over the line in the last quarter and win by a margin of 15 points over the Bombers. And then we move on to the King's Birthday game on the Monday at the MCG. Make sure to get your Freeze 11 beanies, I believe it is. It is Melbourne taking on Collingwood, my Pies, at the MCG for the Big Freeze event. This should be a decent game, I reckon. The D's are in some okay form. I know they lost to the Saints last round, but it was at Alice Springs, and to be fair, they don't really perform well at Alice Springs if we look at their last previous results. But yeah, should be a decent game. I'm going to be backing in my Pies to win this one. I do feel like it'll be, a decent contestant game of footy against the D's. We are playing some decent footy, so are the D's. So yeah, it should be a decent matchup, this one. But yeah, I'm going to be backing in my Pies by a margin of 21 points over the D's. We're playing some decent footy at the moment. I don't want to jinx anything, but yeah, we're playing decent at the moment, but it should be a good contest against the D's, who are playing some decent footy as well. So yeah, I'm going to be backing in us by a margin of 21 over the D's. But yeah, those are my tips done and dusted for round number 13 of the 2025 AFL Premiership season. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Now I will be driving up to Adelaide with Cardman 22 this Friday, well tomorrow, because we're going up for the biggest game of Div 12 Resi State of Origin game. So yeah, should be a fun watch, that one. And yeah, we'll also be up there for the Adelaide versus Brisbane game as well. So yeah, we're going to be having a lot of fun in Adelaide while we're there. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you for another video sometime soon. Cheers.